Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Dee Kumar. I'm a Principal Cloud Solutions Architect based out of Chicago and have been very engaged with Fabric adoption in the market with all our customers since it was announced last year around build. So this was, and I'm going to be talking about this and connecting to the topic we started today with Rashid and Hora to see how it connects with Azure AI. So AI and Gen AI have been topics like which really brought up, which came out last year with announcement of OpenAI models on Azure. And in the last year or so, I know companies, organizations have been investing a lot in AI, Gen AI, and looking at the research which was shared by IDC, it said that companies who have focused and invested, for instance, $1 on AI have seen an average return of $3.5. That's like tremendous, but the average time in which the return was kind of realized was in a very short span of 14 months. So this is like almost three times, going over three times of your investment on AI. So where we have been seeing Gen AI, custom Gen AI, typical use cases have been in productivity enhancements, cost savings and efficiencies, and these are our customers who shared their stories with us. And in the area of cybersecurity, it's your own data, but how have you helped with the productivity increases? Like KPMG, they shared with us how enhancing their search capabilities, they had productivity gains of 50 to 91%. Mercy hospitals, they were able to reduce thousands of hospital stays by building efficiencies into how things were being looked at, right? And same with PwC shared how cybersecurity area, they were able to reinforce client data sovereignty and able to secure the data estate using the Gen AI capabilities. Now coming down to, okay, how do these two things come together? So in the last half hour, we talked about the unified platform which we provide in the form of AI Studio and our other PaaS products as to where you can build, test, deploy, monitor your Gen AI copilots or Gen AI applications. But your applications, your AI applications are as good as the data which is hydrating them, right? So data is the fuel for doing AI on your data. So what did we announce last year was Fabric, a new ecosystem for managing your data. So you must have heard our CEO, Satya, talk about it, that since 1989, this Microsoft Fabric has been the biggest ever product launch for Microsoft in over 30 years now. And what did we do here? We brought together matured services like our data factory, which was a standalone service to moving and managing and moving data to clouds services at scale. We brought in Synapse, which was our MPP platform, which had the Spark, which could take care of the Spark and the data warehouse workloads and integrated it in here, right? We had real-time intelligence, data science, all that from Synapse was brought in here. And third was the consumption layer, Power BI, where we would build reports and the BI intelligence layer. We brought all of these together to remove silos which existed in organizations. To do what? To help them with not only enhancing their analytics, but also fueling their AI workloads. And what is so different about Fabric is things like we built this platform unifying compute and storage. So no matter what workloads you're working with, the compute is unified. So you just pay for it once, but it's all serverless compute. So you are using whatever compute you have purchased for doing any of the workloads. The second thing is we abandoned, and this is huge, we abandoned proprietary ways of storing data. So the data is stored in open format, which is Delta. So Delta format, it can be easily read by any of the workloads. So once the data is brought in, you want to enhance it, get it ready for AI. All those workloads can read the data. You don't have to translate the data from one format to another, and all that data sits in one lake. And just like you have one drive for all your business data today, you don't have to deal with FTPs and mapping your drives to see what data you have to access. Behind the scene, all the data, it's so transparent. So one lake is that virtualized layer of data where you could be bringing data from your storage accounts, from AWS, from Google, in the form of and kind of expanding that foundation layer of data, which becomes part of one lake. So one lake is very pivotal to how we have brought in data together, and rather than having multiple copies of data in an organization, we brought it into at one place. So I'm going to be talking about certain areas where how this helps. So you have to keep in mind the concept of one lake is pivotal here, and the concept of unified compute. And when we have to bring in data from structured or unstructured sources, we still have those pipelines which existed in Azure Data Factory, which help you not only move the data, help you with orchestration, alerting, notification. If you have to do something where you have to work with the data, run transformations, what we brought in was Dataflow Gen 2, and this is a way to copy and modify, alter data at scale in a low-code mode, where it's very much easier to do that. And one thing which I missed on my previous slide is no matter what workloads you're working with, all experiences in Fabric are AI infused. So what that means is, if you're working with Data Factory, if you're working in data science, if you're trying to do real-time workloads, all that is Copilot assisted. So if you are trying to build pipelines, it has been made very easy, and that's where with that focus on getting Copilots into every application and into every workloads, that really helps our business users, right? So of people who are using Fabric. That's where it shines. So Data Factory, it has over 170 connectors. You can orchestrate your data movement. You can use existing templates. You can work with Spark in this environment, orchestrate your Spark notebooks. So Data Factory is part of Fabric. Similarly, Dataflow, all these 170 connectors, you could quickly bring in data from disparate sources and land them into one lake. So the grounding principle is like, we are trying to hydrate one lake so you can later on use that data for other purposes. And it's a SaaS service, so nothing to provision. So Fabric in itself, that is the big differentiation from our previous services where they used to be PaaS. So you had to be involved with going and setting up the entire suite of it, like set up the networking, set up all the access. You still have to do access, but what is the infrastructure behind it? It's kind of hidden right now. We just extended that Power BI to become the Fabric environment today. So when we talk about one lake, we hydrated from Data Factory, Dataflow, and then the foundation of one lake is the data is sitting in a Delta Lake format. But what we announced at Build is the ability to support Iceberg format as well. To understand, like, data if it is in a delta format or in an iceberg format, this is really the metadata layer. The real data, it's stored in the Parquet format. So to ability to read data in either of the formats, that capability has not now come into OneLake. So what that does is expands the surface area of data that can be brought into or can be seen in OneLake. And what do I mean by that? So your data, because we talked about our foundation is an open data format now, which is the Delta Lake format. So if your data is sitting in any of our Azure storage accounts, data sitting in AWS, data sitting in Google Storage, data sitting in Dataverse, which is one of our applications which support finance, ERP, you can call it the ERP applications. The data from those applications, if it is, this is all, you can create shortcuts. So shortcuts is really a link, and we have managed how quickly that data can be made visible to you. So once you establish those shortcuts to your data sitting in storage accounts or any of the clouds, it appears to you as it is sitting locally. It's really a link, but it becomes part of OneLake. So what it is doing is really establishing the data gravity on OneLake. So when you are trying to work with the data, not only data, data, when you're working with the data, you're not making copies of data. You're not making a copy of data in Amazon, and now you have to copy it locally to Azure. We are just enabling you to increase that surface area by creating, having that virtualized layer of OneLake by adding these capabilities. And then additional capability to add to the OneLake is ability to do mirroring. Mirroring, if data is sitting in proprietary format, it is sitting in SQL databases, Postgres databases, Cosmos DB, Snowflake, and we have many more in our target list of databases. But what we do is once you turn mirroring on from external databases to Fabric, there is no ETL required automated copying of data which happens and lands the data in OneLake. And the innovative thing about this is once you turn on mirroring, the process is automatic. It's a real-time CDC happening from source to OneLake, and you do not have to manage it. And the data lands in a Delta Parquet format. So what you're doing is when you turn on mirroring, we take care of the compute and the processes needed to land the data to OneLake, and also we do not charge you for the storage up to the level of capacity you have spent in. So for instance, you open up, you are using a 64 vCore or a F64 capacity, you can land up to 64 terabytes of data in OneLake from mirroring, and you won't get charged for it, right? So anything over 64 terabytes, yes, we'll charge you, but that is what we have added with expanding that OneLake surface area again. And there are a lot of efficiencies with OneLake which help you, optimizations which help you with enabling you to quickly access the data. Like now, instead of going through network and accessing your data sitting somewhere in through an ODBC connection, connecting to SQL, connecting to MySQL or Snowflake, we are now using the direct lake mode, which in itself is adding a lot of enhancements. So if you look at it, what we have really added there, that adding Azure AI and Microsoft Fabric, it has expanded your capabilities to look at the data which lands in the enterprise. And OneLake becomes that connective tissue to build generative AI apps powered by the data. So the previous conversation we talked about, okay, how because all the data for the enterprise is now sitting on OneLake, you can do what you want to work with that data. You can get insights, you can ground your AI data on structured and unstructured data, you can analyze customer interactions, build machine learning models, And all experiences are Copilot integrated, AI-driven insights, and you can do custom. Now the data is ready for doing custom insights. So Copilots are there, we talked about it. Copilots with every experience of workload has been integrated into Fabric, which helps you with quickly writing your Spark code, quickly doing data profiling. So kind of helping you with the productivity side as a developer. Power BI Copilot is in general availability now. Again, everything AI powered, but we also announced Copilots in public preview for real-time and intelligence and warehouse as well. So now coming to the data now that you already have, another thing we announced was ability to, as soon as you land the data in one lake, you can quickly start working on generative AI experiences on the data. And I'm going to show you a quick kind of a demo. I know I have created a demo. I may not have that much time to walk through it, but these are the scenarios which Fabric empowers. Data professionals, and as soon as the data have built the data is ready. Now the business consumers can do Gen AI. They can ask questions on the data right away, and that is the AI skills which we brought in public preview 2 weeks back. But other than that, what in our previous presentation we talked about, build your own custom Copilot. Now those experiences, AI Studio can directly be linked to your data, which is landed in one lake, and help you index it, build the RAG pattern, and then republish those models into Fabric and have them be consumed in Power BI. Same thing with Azure Machine Learning. You can use the data engineering, which is the Spark, to work on the data, build the models, and have those models built tested in Azure Machine Learning, and publish those models in Fabric and consume it through your within Fabric. So these are all there. I just wanted to walk you through the AI skills. This is kind of a canned demo, but this is something I built as well. But what we do is, this is a Fabric experience, and here you see there is a new experience to build AI skills. So what this AI skills does is, as soon as you go in, once you click on it, it's going to ask you, okay, what AI skill are you trying to work with? So I call it as, okay, loyalty member supporting, and what it's going to ask you is, which lakehouse, where did you land the data? Once you pick the area, pick the lakehouse where you have brought in the data, it's going to ask you, okay, what are the tables you want to build this experience on, or ask questions. So if you see here, this Copilot experience lights up and it says how many calls we have had from loyalty members and list them by the source where they joined. So here you see that there is a query generated because we say that we wanted to see the query, and here you could validate if the data is exactly what is coming in. So you didn't have to write any code. You have this experience already show up for you. But now you say, okay, I have all this loyalty data, but who is the person who was the most recent loyalty member to make the call? So you interact with that data through your common language, from your natural language, and you see that the name shows up. But now you want to say, okay, I need to see more details of this loyalty member. So what we do is, we went and changed on the right side in the model. We said we wanted more details and ran the same query again, and you get extra details. So what we are really building is like an expert environment interface here, or which can be invoked in your Copilot Studio, in the AI Studio. But this is an expert we have built on this local data set, right? So this is how in Fabric you are directly working and building an expert here. And once you see that this expert has been created as per the rules you want, what you want to build in it, you can go and publish this data. So publish this skill. And once it is published, it creates an endpoint, and that could be used in other while you're bringing your custom Copilot to use this. So you have one aspect of it already tested, validated within Fabric, and now you go into the consumption side. So hope this kind of gives a little thing about, okay, where into what we are building with Fabric is basically, hold on, let me stop sharing. I need to. So my summary slide is very much here, where I talk about like what I would say is, yeah, while Microsoft is working into building these experiences, we are also building the grounding platform. If you haven't tried Fabric, it natively, it kind of connects with what we are trying, where we are headed, right? So that's where I would say, please try and go and look at Microsoft Fabric. We have a free 60-day trial available for you to get connected with this experience, and 60-day trial is equivalent to $17,000 of free compute and services of Fabric available to you. So highly recommend going and trying that out because that is where you would be deriving the more value, and also be able to see the connection between Fabric and AI experiences. So thank you.